Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection. And look who's here. Let's see if I can get this kind of correct here. We got Simon, Bray, and Steven Reid in the house once again. Hello, gentlemen. Happy Saturday to you.
Good evening, afternoon, morning,
Saturday-ish.
whenever you're watching. Yeah, absolutely. Hello.
So we are back to favorite and least favorite shows. Once again, we're reliving our concert experiences from 2010 and 2011. As we were just kind of talking about, some of us saw a lot of shows in these couple of years. I didn't see too many because I had just bought our new house, and I was going to shows, but not a lot. But I do have some cool ones to talk about. But I think you guys probably have a little more fun stories than me. But we'll see as we go through it. But before we do that, our good friend from Lancashire, what are you drinking today?
Oh, I've got a choice.
Ooh.
I know. I've got a. Do you know what? Seeing as we enjoyed going to Ramsbottom so much last week, that's Ramsbottom. Say it.
Ramsbottom.
There you go.
Oh, look at that. That was not Ramsbottom, but that was good.
Yeah, there you go.
I can play along too, you see.
Wow, I was sideblinded by that one.
Was that pretty good? That was pretty good, right?
Yeah, that was good.
The kids say, yeah. This is bought in Ramsbottom, and look what it's got on. Look what it's got on it.
Forager.
But that's not a bottom. What's that?
I just thought it looked a bit like a ram, you know.
Well, it looks like a ram. The ram's head, is it not?
It's ram's head. Yeah. It's forager. It's not actually from.
I've knocked my tickets everywhere. Too much hilarity. Hold on.
Really, I'm just going. It's cider. It's 6%. It's looking very sexy. It's all the way from Hertfordshire because you know what, you can't grow cider up here.
I was waiting to say, was that cider?
This is down all the time.
Cider.
Oh, I do like a cider. I do like a cider.
I'm going to pour it while I listen to your excellent choices.
I have a brazen DDH pale. As I have a tendency to once or twice a year when we're allowed to, which we are again, I go to the Abernight Brewery Beer Festival, which is literally in a field in the middle of nowhere because Abernight is about the size of my shoe. And it's got a beautiful view out over the hills and down into Dundee over the Tay, and you see the Tay Bridge and everything from there. So this was one of my purchases. This is what they had on tap in a field last week.
Isn't there something cool about going to a brewery out in the middle of the field or in a farm or in a barn? Or I mean, there's something kind of rustic about that, right?
Yeah.
They put their beer in big wine bottles, right? You know, it's not no cans, none of that nonsense, right?
Great fun. So it is. So it looks a bit like dishwater.
Oh yeah, that's murky.
That is very murky. This is not a hazy one. This is murky.
Yeah, that's like mud.
Citrusy as anything. I mean, I can actually smell it from here. It's so good. It's absolutely tremendous. I bought quite a lot of it when we were there last week on the day and to bring home. Very good.
Well, I have an old favorite, but in a new container. I have Vorsteiner in a can. Look at that. I've never seen it in a can before. I love this German Pilsner. It's my favorite. And, but I saw it, normally I enjoyed this out of the bottle, but I saw it in cans and I was like, I will try that. So I'm going to try that today. So it's a small can too. It's like, yeah. I mean, this doesn't even look like 12 ounces. I mean, this is tiny. This is like a little mini grenade. So
it's a 330 ml can.
Yeah, it's probably like 11.5 ounces. Oh, 11.2 fluid ounces. See that? Not even a full 12.
We do milliliters. We do milliliters here, Peter. What's a fluid ounce? What's that all about?
I don't know. It's just an ounce.
That's a 330 ml can for those that know what they're talking about.
There you go. Yeah, this is smaller than normal. You know, with the whole canning thing here in the States, it's like you either get these tiny little stumpy ones, or you get the big gigantic like 16-ounce cans. And then you have to worry that all the pint glasses you have in your house will not take in the whole beer. So here I have room to spare because it's not quite 12. Otherwise, I would have been over to the top. But look at that! Look at that crisp! Look at that carbonation, right? That's a classic.
That looks like an optical illusion. Hold up the can next to the glass. See, that's like an optical illusion, isn't it? Look at that.
Right? How did we get more in this than? Yes, it's taller. How did that work? I don't know.
Magic on a Saturday night. Here we go with Peter Pardo.
Right, there you go. Pete and his pills.
Warsteiner has a reputation, doesn't it?
Does it? I don't know. That being good.
Well, I'm just saying it does. Wouldn't want to be Mrs. Pardo afterwards.
Jesus. Well then, okay.
I'll tell you later.
All right. I will say it tastes amazing. No difference between the bottle or the can. It's just good. This is solid as can be. Das einzig wahre.
That is good to know because I'm a bit of a bottle snob.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a can craze going on here now. I mean, all the microbreweries can everything now. So
I see all these pictures from the US with cans and things. So it does seem to be very in at the moment.
I don't know. You know what? Maybe it's easier. I don't know what the reason for it is, but I would say probably 80% of the beers I drink are out of a can now. It's just because everybody cans everything. Do you now see like breweries that have been around, for ages who you'd only ever, I mean, for Frank's, Corona, which is terrible, now is available in cans here. I mean, that's like, everything else is in cans here. It's like, see what that Silver Bullet started all those years ago. Now everybody's got their stuff in cans. So anyway, cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
How's that cider, Simon?
It's super sexy.
Yeah, cool.
Super sexy.
Super sexy.
Cool. Good.
Go for a bit of alliteration there. Super sexy cider.
There you go.
Simon's super sexy cider. I can do this all day long.
Simon's stupendous.
Simon's super sexy cider. 4 S's, running wild. Well, hopefully just as sexy as Simon's picks for 2010, but we shall see in a second here. So what do you got?
Oh, that was an excellent segue, everyone. That's why we're approaching 100,000 people subscribing. That's it. That's the one. 2010. Do you remember when I said it was a big year for me? It kind of was. And do you know what? Simon has no one to slag off this week.
Oh, okay. I've got a couple.
It's all good in the metaphorical hood. So 2010, I saw just in passing, well, not in passing, I saw Europe. Yay! I think we can assume that happens quite often. That's the one where my friend sat outside until they played the final countdown. Friends. Yes. Yeah. Excellent. I thought they were great. I've read out the set list on a previous show, so let's not dwell on that. Now, May the 1st, 2010, and I've always been very open about this because you know what, I'm a truthful person, very, very truthful person. I saw a magnificent double bill of, I don't know if you're familiar with this band, Stephen. They're called Dream Evil. That's Dream Evil. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
They ring a bell. No, I don't think I've ever seen them. No,
maybe once.
Apart from the time that I did, yeah.
Yeah, that time that you neglected to mention for.
I owned up. I owned up to my own. Well, it could only be classed as stupidity.
For excellence, it's one of 2 or 3 times I've seen them. Every one of which I've told you about. They were really, really good. They were supporting Hammerfall. They were supporting Hammerfall. How's that for a bill, kids?
That is.
Yeah, that's a bill. Yep.
That is a bill. In a massive surprise, I saw Hammerfall the other week, and in a massive surprise, Joachim Cans did the whole. You've come to see us? Yes, we've come to see you. You did that at Bloodstock 7 years ago. Yeah, it's not much of a surprise, but you keep doing that, fella. It's good every single time, without fail. Later that year, Let's just assume that I saw the Stranglers and Sabaton because I did. Later that year, I also saw the only band I've ever seen Pete Pardo really slag off.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Obviously, I don't watch everything because you know what? Not enough hours in the day. However, yeah, Anvil. I saw Anvil for the first of quite a few times in this particular decade, and I was thoroughly entertained by them. Not many people there. let me tell you.
As is the tradition.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But on this occasion, they didn't do the sad thing at the merch thing. They did the running out and saying hello to everyone as they were leaving thing. Yes, indeed. But what I really want to talk about is on the 6th of November, I saw Freedom Call.
Nice.
That's right. Satan's Hollow in Manchester. Hands up if you've ever been to Satan's Hollow. Just me. It's a pretty weird kind of place. It's kind of like themed, like it's a hollow where Satan would live. If you can get, skulls and everything everywhere. But the most interesting thing about it is that the bands play a kind of cage effect, kind of around cage. So, and they get changed just behind. So they sat there like, time to put the t-shirt on. Home we get. Let's play some power metal. You can see them just like walk through the cage, and then they play. It's just very, very odd.
That's this place possibly in your imagination, Simon?
Yes, because I'm Dr. Parnassus. That's right. Yeah. No. I shit you not. People will mention it in the comments. People will have been. It's just interesting place, and they were great because I like happy, bouncy power metal, as you know, and they were great. Only thing was though, and I can still get into it, the t-shirt that I got that night only has the European dates on. They gave me the wrong one. Don't like it. Not happy. Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. That's the kind of face I'm looking for on that one. That's pretty much my 2010. It's all very much good in the metaphorical hood. Other than the fact that I did see Arch Enemy, I forgot. They were great.
They were a band to see around this time. I would agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Yes, indeed. What you might want to call top quality twin guitar shit going on there.
Yeah, and that was the prime Angela years. Yeah,
very much so. Really, really good.
I love the Freedom Call pick. That's they're a good band. I love their album covers. I'm not always 100% on board with all the happy power metal stuff because there's so many of those bands, but Freedom Call are really good. I think that must have been a cool show.
Have you ever been going up and down the mountains of Sorrento in Italy, listen to Age of the Unicorn?
No, but I would like.
You've never experienced proper joy until you've done that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm open for just about anything.
I was in Sorrento just 2 weeks ago, but I didn't take Freedom Call with me. No.
You're lost, my friend.
It would appear so. Absolutely. There wasn't room for them in my hand luggage.
Hey, Chris. And interchangeable guitarist, bassist, and there you go.
They can all fit in that little box quite perfectly as you're going through.
Yeah. Well, they've got practice from going through the cage at Satan's Hollow.
That's it, you see. And they're quick to get changed in the back before we go on, so it's fine.
Indeed. Perfect. You know it makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure move, young man.
Well, see, I've split these into years and discovered that there's not very much for 2010. Okay, so there's one event. It's not a gig, it's an event. And I wasn't attending, okay? I was working, right? And it says so. It says working on this, okay? Because I was on the 29th, 30th, and 31st of October, I was at Firefest, okay? Because Firefest was organised by a whole load of people that Bruce Mee, who runs Fireworks magazine, was one of the main guys behind it. So as a writer for the magazine, we helped out. And by that, I mean, like, we manned the VIP gate. Now, it's in Nottingham, Rock City, right? Or it was back when it was a thing. And by man the VIP gate, I mean actually like stand at a gate at the back on the balcony and watch the bands for the weekend. Admittedly, without a break. I mean, we couldn't like go for anything to eat or whatever. We were there from way early to way late. And to go off at a slight tangent, shocking, I know. I was reading Mark Kelly from Marillion's book in the last couple of weeks. It's very good if you're interested in that kind of thing. And he was talking about how a venue, transforms through a day. So we were in Rock City for like 10 o'clock in the morning. Lights up, nobody there. Feech, there's a good Scottish word, feech on the floor. That's for a one you'll all understand, Ming. Feech and Ming on the floor, right? And there's stickers on the wall and all. It just looks like an absolute bin. And then as the day goes on and the lights go down and the band come on stage and it transforms itself into something magical. This horrible, really bare and not particularly well looked after, don't tell anyone that, becomes something magical, okay? And admittedly, there was 2 venues used over that weekend, but we won't go into that. So I saw Heat headlined the first day with a guy called Eric Gronval on vocals, who has only recently joined Skid Row. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with them because he's a great frontman, really talented singer. And ironically, that day they actually covered 18 in Life. And he obviously knew something was going to come
years later, right? Yeah.
Down the line, yeah, absolutely. They were excellent. Day 2 was headlined by Lynch Mob, which was a dream come true for me. I had seen Jeff Pilson with Dio and Foreigner, a massive Dokken fan. I'd seen Wild Mick Brown with Ted Nugent, bizarrely enough. And I've never seen Don Dokken. Probably going to leave it that way now these days, to be fair. And this was the only time that I'd ever seen George Lynch. So we got to see him basically. Well, the sound check was what most people who weren't really as big fans as I would say it was called guitar wank. He didn't really sound check. He just took the guitar out and played a whole lot of stuff. I was in heaven. Everyone was like, there was no sound check going on whatsoever, but it was a dream come true. The band were excellent. You had Onnie Logan back on vocals, Brian Titchie on drums, Robbie Crane on bass. They played a selection of the greatest songs from the Lynch Mob debut and a few from Smoke This, which had just come out. And they played Mr. Scary, Into the Fire. And although they had gone over time, so George actually thought they had no time for an encore, so he'd thrown all his guitar picks out into the audience. And then somebody went, song. You had to ask for one back. Somebody handed it back to the audience. And they played tooth and nail, so at least it was worth that. And I'm sure the guy got it back at the end. But there you go. And Nelson headlined day 3, and they were really good too. I know that they're a much derided act, all about the beautiful long blonde hair, but they were really good. And there was lots of other great bands. Newman, who are an excellent kind of AOR melodic rock band from the UK. Strange Ways, who are a classic AOR band from Scotland with Terry Brock on vocals, an absolutely hugely underrated singer. Grand Illusion, who are really smooth technical AOR melodic rock from Scandinavia. And then you had Shotgun Symphony, there was Dare, and the man that stole the whole weekend was Jimmy Jameson. He came on and I think they'd been late. They had to swap what time they come on and various things. And he just came on and knocked it out of the park. You had Tommy Denander, who has been in a variety of different things. He was on Paul Stanley's latter-day solo album, band called Radioactive. He was everywhere for a period of time. He was on guitar and he was really, really great. It's the only time I've ever seen him in the flesh. Then they played things like Caught in the Game, It's the Singer, Not the Song, Is This Love? They played Burning Heart. They played I'm Always Here, the Baywatch theme tune. And of course, he closed with that classic Jimmy Jameson song, Eye the Tiger, which is not a Jimmy Jameson song at all. But it's the way to close a set. That's the way to close a set. And he absolutely stole the whole event. He was just outstandingly good, a much missed talent. And I was fortunate enough to see him not once because he came back the next year and did the next one as well. So I saw him twice. So there you go. So that is all I've got for 2010. Everything else is for 2011. 2011? 2011. Dearie me.
2011. 2011.
This is also stronger than I thought.
It's that weird color, that murkiness, you know. All right, so I have more for 2010 than I do for 2011, sort of, I guess. So it started off the year, 2 shows back to back on the 29th and 30th of January. And I wound up, because I knew I had two shows, I stayed at my buddy's house in Brooklyn that first night. And the first night was Epica at the Gramercy Theater, New York City, by the way. And these two shows were actually really interesting. I mean, the bands were great, but it was more about the condition that I was in for the Saturday show. Because at the Epica concert, I remember I ran into Chris Allo at the show, and that was one of these weird evenings where we went to a bar before the show, and I had a few too many Guinnesses, and then I continued to have more Guinness at the actual show. And I remember, like, after being in the photo pit, taking pictures of Epica and just walking around and meeting people and hanging out, I was thinking, wow, I am pretty drunk. And went back, stayed at my buddy's place, and the next morning I was really hungover. And I remember we got up and he's like, "Oh, you want me to order a pizza? Because, you know, Brooklyn pizza is really good." And I was like, the thought of eating food right now makes me want to run to the bathroom. But I will tell you that pizza he got was really good, and we ate almost the entire thing. But then we had to then get up and go back into the city to see Between the Buried and Me at Irving Plaza. And I remember we went to the same bar again beforehand, and I drank a Diet Coke. And I was like, there is no way in hell I'm touching any alcohol for this evening. And I did not. And I went home and all was fine. But both bands were great. Let's see, what do we got here? May 7th, Opeth at Terminal 5. I think that was the biggest place I ever saw Opeth at. And this was right around the time where shortly thereafter this show, they started doing albums without Growl. So this was like the last kind of like death metal type of show that I saw Opeth at. Really good. A couple weeks after that, April the 28th at BB King's in New York City as well, I saw Fozzy, Chris Jericho and company, and actually got to meet backstage Chris Jericho, who I had met before. Met Eddie Trunk that night, met Mike Portnoy that night, Vinnie Paul, and 3 of the guys from Anthrax.
Wow. Whew. Just missed that.
Yep, they seem to fall by me and hit you there, Simon, I think.
Yeah, they did. Could you tell us about their hands?
Chris Jericho had wrestler's hands. They were big and stumpy. Eddie Trunk did not shake my hand. Mike Portnoy did. Vinnie Paul did not. And I think Charlie Benante from Anthrax did. But I don't know if they were really that smooth. Drummer's hands.
Work to be done. Work to be done, I think.
Yeah. But a cool night to meet a bunch of cool people. That was good. Shortly after that, on the 10th of May, saw Primal Fear for the first and only time that I've seen them at Gramercy. That was quite good. Quite good. I was quite surprised that the guys in the band were not as tall as I thought they would be. But interesting. Uriah Heep on their comeback, BB King's, June 22nd.
What album is that on?
That was Wake the Sleeper.
Oh yeah, I saw them on that tour.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, really good. And got to meet Mick and the boys backstage after that, which was really nice. Saw Pat Benatar for the first time ever, August 28th at Bethel Woods with
She came right to your house, Peter. Yeah.
Basically. The best show of the whole year, I think, for me, just because it was just so cool to see. I saw Styx at the Palace Theater in Albany, New York on October 30th, and they played the whole Grand Illusion and Pieces of 8 albums back to back. That was really special. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that. And the only really bad one that I'm going to talk about today in general, I saw, this was November 8th that year at Terminal 5, once again in New York City, Dimmu Borgir, who I like them, right? I've seen them many times, but this was that show where they came out. I don't know, all of a sudden they changed their look and they were wearing all this like white stuff. Like they had the white total white makeup, which they always had anyway, the frosted white hair, the big white robes. I mean, they looked like they were trying to look like frost giants. And they looked kind of ridiculous. And they were playing in a place that was way too big for them. So like 3/4 of the place was empty. And the album they were touring at the time, which I don't remember the name of, wasn't very good. And I remember sitting there watching them and taking pictures and thinking, they sound like shit because the sound was terrible that night. They look ridiculous. And I don't know if I need to see these guys anymore, because I had seen them quite a few times up until then. And that was the last time I ever saw Steven Borgia. And very disappointing, because all the other times I caught them live, they were really, really good. I think they're kind of like their little burst of popularity here kind of went to their heads a little bit. And I don't know, we haven't seen them much around here since, maybe a couple times, but I don't know. So that's all I got.
It's funny how a gimmick in the right circumstances can raise a show. Do you know, whether it's costumes or set or whatever it may be, but in the wrong circumstances, it can absolutely kill a band if it's not going their way.
Right, because this basically what they did turned off the true black metal fans, because they're like, we're not all about that. We're happy that a Norwegian black metal band is getting popular in the States, but as soon as they came out looking like that, people were like, nah, I'm done with them. They look ridiculous. I mean, they really did. I don't know how they're dressing these days or what their look is like, because it's like they've like fallen way off the radar in recent years here. So I don't really know, but I just remember like watching that show, and I was like, and the sound was terrible, and there was nobody there, and I was like, this is not good. How the mighty have fallen, you know. All right, Simon, what do you got for 2011?
Yeah, because on Simon, come on.
Thanks for asking. You can assume that I saw the Stranglers 3 times that year, because of course I did. But also in that year, I decided that for a short period, I'd like to become like a little mini emo goth. And I saw the Murder Dolls. Don't look at me like that, Stephen. I did. And they were really, really good. Yes, yes. Yes, they were. They nicked all the good songs from the Frankenstein drag queens from Planet 13. But hey, there you go. Such is life. But they were fairly entertaining. They were indeed. I saw the Undertones, but we don't want to talk. That's a bit outside the SLT paradigm. But I did excitingly see it. It is.
No, it is. No, absolutely it is.
It is outside the paradigm. But people do like it when their Uncle Simon does go outside the SLT.
Yeah, but not for the Undertones. No.
Which comes to shove, they're in my top 5 favorite bands, so let's not go down that route.
Okay, well, let's neither push nor shove, then we'll all be fine.
I love them. Anyhow, let's just move on. I did, however, see Serenity support Delane.
Nice.
That's a good bill.
Nice.
It's a good bill, isn't it? Yes, indeed. They were both excellent. I don't think I ever liked Delane as much as I did around about that period. So good. Also, nice small venue. Academy 3. Really, really excellent. I think Lisa, is it Middlehoff from Zandria was singing with Serenity. And she came out afterwards to meet the people, and she still had the big dress on like she had on stage. That was interesting. Yeah,
meet the people from a distance.
Yeah, hello, how are you? Yeah, very good. Yeah, very much. They were both excellent, and I'm semi-surprised that certainly Serenity never got any bigger, really.
No.
Yeah. No,
it seemed to get a bit stop-start for them after then, though, did it not?
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't the lead singer now in every band in the world? I
think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And Delane were just really, really good. But what I really want to talk about in 2011, if I haven't talked enough, I can't. I saw one of those triple band bills. Can't talk about the first band because we've got our best and worst of the decades come, haven't we? Yeah. The middle band were Foreigner, and as I recall, so now you all know who the first band were. As I recall, Mick Jones played the entire set.
Oh, nobody likes a show off.
I know. From memory, he did. They were really.
If they're not headlining, then I presume they only played about an hour-ish.
Yeah, they played the hits, and I think I Want to Know What Love Is. Actually, if you go to Manchester now, Kelly's still singing it. He's still doing it. Come on, can't see some hands. Come on.
30-minute version of I Want to Know What Love Is, right?
Yeah. Roughly an hour-long show, 59 minutes.
I still love his line from Glasgow, where he asked people to get up, because people were not getting up, and clearly from his vantage point on the stage, he could see who was and who wasn't. And he basically called out the front 3 rows. He said, right, the front 3 rows are obviously the people with the heavy wallets that can't get out their seats. Everyone else just come past them, and they did.
Excellent. Yeah.
I'm sure the bouncers were happy about that.
Everyone ended up standing at the front of the stage. It's a seated venue with a big gap between the seats and the stage, and Kelly was having none of it. He was not playing to this gap, and then these seated people, he just was not doing it. Wow. So anyway, sorry, Simon. Excuse me. That was very rude.
Yeah, any man who can keep a scarf on for the entire set, and a white denim jacket works for me. They were excellent. I kind of don't know what, we had a discussion last week, know whether or not they really were foreigner. I don't know, but I imagine that most people there didn't give a flying shit.
Yeah, I mean, they are a great live band now.
They really
are. Still are. Yeah, they still are. Yep.
The evening was headlined by Journey. It would, I know we mentioned this last week, but it would be fair to say that practically everybody came for just the one song. Yeah, but they'd learnt. By the time they came to Manchester, they'd learnt, and that one song was last. What I would say is that I didn't realise that every Journey song needed a really widdly guitar solo. Every one, without fail. Because I've got all the records. I know they're on our list, aren't they, going forward. But my God, some of those songs got a bit of a shit kicking from Mr. Sean. Yes, I mean, I like that, but you can see people going. Yeah, not 100% confident that they judge their audience that well. Yeah.
So you get bonus.
By the way, a new Journey album drops tomorrow here in the States.
Well,
do we like the singles? Do we like the singles?
I only heard the one.
I do.
I don't care. It's an auto buy for me. I don't care.
It's very percussive. Very, very percussive. Yeah. It's almost if the drummer helped out with production,
which Narada totally did.
Yeah, he did, and Arnold, are you there?
There's like 15 songs on the CD. It's like it's a lot of material.
Yeah, they've had a tendency to do that. Please don't. Sorry.
I'm looking forward to it. The other band I would like to mention, of course, because they need a mention every week that I saw that year, was, of course, Magnum. That's the one. And they were great. They were fucking great. They're always great. So yeah, a pretty good couple of years for me.
That's some good stuff. Yeah. So in order for me to see Magnum, jeez, God.
You love that band. You see,
in order for me to see Magnum, I'm gonna have to come over and hang out with you guys, I think.
Yes.
Well, you've said that before, but it's never happened.
Yeah, you've said that before, and yet you're still sitting there.
Do you know that I saw a couple comments from people that after we announced SOT Fall Fest here in the Hudson Valley coming up in October, they're like, when are you going to bring the Sea of Tranquility tour to the UK? All of a sudden it's a tour now.
Yeah.
What did it become a tour? I was like, well, I don't know.
Then people can say, I saw the UK connection. It was in this like really tiny venue. It was like someone's back room.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had a giraffe in there and practically nobody else. Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, everybody, because my wife and I would love to come. We were just talking a couple weeks ago about like maybe doing a little UK trip and going to Ireland and whatnot. I would love to do something like that around a little Magnum tour.
I'm in.
We'll see. So for everybody watching, for all our UK fans who are watching, who are looking for me to travel over the pond and to hang out with these two gentlemen and all of you, we will try to make that happen at some point. When, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway.
All hands on Bob.
Yes.
So anyway, 2011, more festivals for me. So I have got Fused Festival. Okay, there was a 3-day event, but I could only make 2 of them. the
Can I
Friday.
just say these tickets are awesome? Why don't we have tickets? I mean, God, I think
Yeah.
about the shit that they give us
You
here.
can tell that these are smaller events because it's people that care that are doing the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like,
And you get cool tickets. You see. So yeah, this was in Lydney Town Hall, which I believe.
look at this boring crap. Boring.
I mean, I've got boring ones too, but I'm just showing off the nice ones. Is in Gloucestershire, I think that right? I can't remember.
Gloucester.
Gloucester?
Gloucester, that's right. Yeah, Gloucestershire. Sheer. Yeah.
How
right.
do you say that? Gloucester?
Gloucester.
Gloucester.
Okay. All right.
Not bad. It's not.
Yeah.
You're on a roll.
No, you know what? Because the weird thing is, like Massachusetts here in the States, like the Boston area, have a lot of like towns and cities that are kind of like that. And for years, I've been pronouncing those wrong, but they all pronounce it like you guys do. So
I'm probably getting it wrong anyway, so I wouldn't worry. So that was, as I say, a 3-day festival. We could only make the first 2 days because, well, that's the way life works sometimes. But I still managed to see Vanden Pla, who headlined on day 1. And wow, that was quick. That was quick going. They were
11.2 ounces. There you have it.
Oh,
That normally lasts me a whole episode, so something's not right here.
I'm obviously talking far too much. Unusual. And then day 2 was headlined by Threshold. The only time I've seen either of those bands, they were both brilliant. A couple of other bands I know that played Tomera, who had Thomas McLean and Richard Henschel, who were both either past or present members of Haken. And a band called Toxic Smile, who come from East Germany. Not that East Germany is a thing now, but they come from the east side of Germany, and they kind of play a very traditional symphonic kind of prog rock thing. And they were just fantastic. It was in as I say, a town hall. Obviously, it started in the middle of the day, so they had like pulled the curtains. So it was in this kind of bizarre dark daylight sort of situation where there was stage lights and things, but you really didn't need them. It was a weird feel. Halfway through their set, everyone was at the merch table because they hadn't brought that much with them, probably because of the distance and the budget and various things. They sold out. They sold out of t-shirts. They sold out of CDs. They were just incredibly good, that has to be said. And I believe that day 3 was excellent too. Kingfisher Sky played, and everyone told me that we missed an outstandingly good day. We probably missed the best day of 3, but I don't know if that's true or not. So there you go. From there on, the 20th of May, I saw Glenn Hughes at the Picture House in Edinburgh, which no longer exists. And then on the 29th of July, I saw, BCC, I saw Black Country Communion at the Glasgow Academy. So in the space of 3 months, I saw Glenn Hughes doing 2 completely different things and just be outstandingly good on both occasions. I actually think that he was more enthused at the Black Country Communion show. They are such a missed opportunity from this point of view, because
he wanted that to be his main band.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you could tell that. You could absolutely tell that. And I mean, Donna Massa was outstanding, as you would expect. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen him live as a solo act, and he's great. Really enjoy it. I would go back and see him tomorrow if I could. But there's an energy there in Black Country Communion that clearly Joe doesn't really get an opportunity to bring. And then with Jason Bonham behind the kit and Derek Sherinian, they're just amazing. And it was one of those ones where we kind of thought, well, they're going to be about for a while. We're going to see them loads. And then that just didn't really happen. So I'm just delighted that I did get the chance to see them. 24th of August in the Perth Theatre. Nobody plays the Perth Theatre. That's not a thing. We saw Fish do an acoustic show, which was really good fun. Him and Frank Usher on guitar, and Fish was reading his lyrics off his lyric sheet as he does these days, so he had a lectern on stage, and he was chatty, and he actually asked for the house lights to be brought back up so that he could see the audience, because it was quite a relaxed day. And you know what Fish is like, he wants to talk to you probably longer than he wants to sing to you, because that's the kind of guy that he is. And he said, he's played a couple of songs, and he says, is everyone having a good time? Yes, anyone want to kind of, get involved, ask me anything? Not very much. And there was just a second silence before my mate Tony, who was sitting here, went, "Hey, Fish." He says, you couldn't move your lectern, could you? He says, "Well, it's right in the way of Frank. I can't see Frank Usher from here."
Oops. Meanwhile, Chris is
Especially-
probably thinking, but I thought you came here to see me.
Well,
Like,
what he
cool,
actually
though,
said
but-
was he went to move it and then he actually went, "Oh, fuck you." He said, you know, Frank always plays on whatever that stage left. He said, that's not happening. He says, "No, there's a spare seat over there. I won't shift your arse over." No, he didn't, but Frank actually moved forward. So you did get an excellent view of Frank's fantastic guitar playing for the rest of the night. I was suitably embarrassed. I was like, "Oh, please put the house lights down." But there you go.
I'm not with him, really.
No, definitely not with him. But there you go. So then, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of October, we're back at Firefest again. I'm back on the crew. I'm back pretending to do work and not have to pay for these nice tickets because we were going, yeah. No. Get out my way. I'm trying to watch the band. It wasn't quite as blisteringly good as the years before, but we still saw Wet with Jeff Scott Soto et al., kind of melodic rock supergroup who were fantastic. Jeff Paris, who is a cult hero in that scene. Alien from Sweden, who had reformed for the festival and were outstandingly good. Coney Hatch, real favourite of mine. Really, really like Coney Hatch. Only time that I've ever seen them. I'd imagine it'll be the only time that I will ever see them. And they lived up to the expectations. And the whole event was closed by Unruly Child. And they were just ridiculously good. And if anyone wants to tell you that a rock audience is not accepting of people, then the reception that Marcy Free received will just knock that preconceived idea out of the park, because she was greeted as an absolute superstar. And it was brilliant. It was really heartwarming to see. And it capped off a fantastic weekend. And they were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, I have to say. My last good one is on the 28th of November in my favourite, Glasgow's King Tut's Wawa Hut. And I saw Pure Reason Revolution, who were doing at that stage a farewell tour. Thankfully, they've come back again and released a couple of excellent albums, but they played all of their debut album, The Dark Third. And that is just a great album. And they'd always maintained that they actually couldn't play it live because it was too complex and just too much to learn and remember. Well, they threw that in the bin because they did, and they were great. It was one of those things you think, well, I'll never see them ever again. And I haven't yet, but hopefully I will, because the last two albums since they've come back have been excellent. So that's all the good ones. I've got a couple of bad ones. You want me to do them or do you want me to wait?
Go ahead, go for it.
Go ahead. Okay, so on the 29th of January in 2011, we went to see Masters of Reality, whose name is just there underneath the Cult, okay, who headlined. And it's the only time I've seen the Cult. And I do like quite a lot of their catalogue. I really like the classic three. I like Rain, Electric, and Sonic Temple. That's where it's at for me. I don't mind what comes either side, but that's really what it's all about. They played a kind of rarities set, and that had been advertised and announced, and it was, as a casual fan, it was the wrong time to see them. That has to be said. Masters of Reality were brilliant, but the Cult we were confused and bamboozled because we didn't know 3/4 of the set they were playing.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. You would think they'd do something like that at like a fan convention or something. Not
Yeah, I mean, they did a whole tour of it. And Ian Astbury is an interesting individual, shall we say. So, I mean, early on in the show, someone's got the phone out, and he's going, "Oh, that's great, yeah, film us, you can keep this forever." And then as the night went on, he realised the guy wasn't putting his phone away. He said, "Put your fucking phone down, get your phone away, watch the show." And you're like, oh, 2 minutes ago, you're going, "That's the best thing you've ever done." And
he probably thought you'd do it for 5 minutes and that's it. Yeah, like most normal.
He had to backtrack on himself to kind of say, yeah, I know that I said something completely different, half an hour ago, but don't be stupid. So do you know what? They were okay. It was nice to see Billy Duffy because that guy can play.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the wrong time. So that was maybe, we went with the support act and we weren't disappointed with that, to be fair. Masters of Reality were fantastic, as they have been every time I've seen them live. And we all kind of thought, seeing the Cult will be really good. Anyway, it wasn't for me anyway. We didn't all agree, to be fair. Some people got more out of it than I did, but I think it maybe depended on how much of a fan you were. Yes, Simon.
You remember earlier I told you about my friend that came to see Europe with us.
Yes.
And he basically sat out the entire set until final cut. Well, not that long ago, probably just before the pandemic, he decided he was going to go and see Adamant. Yes, just Adamant. The ants weren't available, weren't they? And it was very, very heavily publicised that he was going to play the Friend or Foe album from front to back. He was going to play all of it, the entire album. I knew it. So I didn't go because, I'm familiar with the hits. So I went to see Adamant play Friend or Foe from front to back. I said to him, "How was Adamant?" He said, "They played all this shit I've never heard of." Really? Yeah. You didn't play Kings of the Wild Frontier till really. Oh, wonder why. That's not good, is it? I'm just wondering. Don't know why that is. I was a bitch, motherfucker, isn't it?
I had a very similar experience with a very good friend of mine, in actual fact. We went to see the Frantic Four, the classic Quo lineup, do the first, when they came round to the first time after reforming. And they played basically Quo live. They basically played that live album and added some bits at the end because they played for a bit longer than a double album would allow. And they were outstandingly good. We've covered that at length in different shows. So if you like a bit of Quo, go back to the Quo shows and have a watch of them. But yeah, after the gig, I was like, "Oh wow, how good was that?" And he was like, "They didn't play very much that I knew." Yeah, but we all knew we were coming to see the Quo live show, did we not? But they didn't play any of the hits from the later years. So I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, you're not alone."
Hits that quite a few of them weren't actually on.
Yes.
Spooky, that, isn't it?
Yeah,
funny that.
Yeah. But anyway, there you go. So my last one is from the 1st of May 2011, and it was Houston headlined. Okay, and it doesn't say it actually on my handwritten ticket here, but this gig was in Glasgow at the Academy 2. Now that venue doesn't exist, and it didn't exist then either. Okay, so there is the Academy. I've seen lots of bands in the Glasgow Academy, and that is an O2 Academy ticket thing. It's a guest list ticket, okay? And we turned up, and I mean, this is a pretty big venue for Scotland. And the one door was open, instead of like there's like 4 double doors on this venue. One door was open, and we walked in, and we were handed these. And I had to say, "Where are we going?" He said, "Well, you go up the stairs towards the balcony, and at the first door you go left." I was like, "Oh, there must have been a venue here that I never knew about." Okay, so we went up the stairs towards the balcony, first left, opened the door, and we're in the bar. We're in the bar of the Academy. We're in the balcony bar. We're in the small bar, the smallest bar in the venue is where we are. And someone had brought in, like one of those kind of wooden box stage things that they use at school. So it was like this off the floor, that off the floor, okay? And the band are playing like here. But that didn't matter because nobody else had gone. There was basically nobody else there. There was Comatose, Misbehaviour, Serpentine, who Tony Mills was involved with for a little while, Houston, and Crash Diet. And Crash Diet actually closed the show, even though Houston is on the ticket. And it was the bizarrest night, because these bands kind of shuffled in from what I presume was a toilet or a kind of, catering place on this floor, which is clearly where they were getting changed. Excuse me, Scott, sorry, excuse me, through the handful of people that were there, and some of the Serpentine were good. Houston were good. Crash Diet kind of missed the memo though, because they came out and somebody had clearly said to them, "Actually, you're playing the main stage. It may look like the small stage, and there may actually be a bar that you can see about 6 foot away from where you're playing right now, okay? And there may only be 20 people here, okay?" And the singer at the end of the set, who clearly enjoyed himself earlier in the day, shall we say, decided that the best thing to do for the 4 young ladies, and I mean really quite young ladies, who were clearly there to see Crash Diet, was to stage dive. Now, I genuinely heard that as his head hit the floor, okay? I mean, the girls had been knocked sideways, and he genuinely smacked onto the floor, got back on the stage, thank you. And off they went, and that was that. It's one of the weirdest nights that I've ever been to in any venue. It wasn't a venue, anywhere whatsoever. It was just bizarre. They clearly had got some deal where they're playing small academy venues, and some clever person had got, oh, we've got one of them too. Find one, find where they can play. It was just bizarre, very bizarre indeed. But there you go. So that's my 2010 to 2011.
All right. Yeah, weird mix of bands too.
Yeah, it was a weird night. Totally weird.
Well, we've all had them, right? We've all had them. All right, so 2011, not a ton for me. I just got some highlights here. Allman Brothers Band at the Beacon Theater, March 15th. They generally every year, while the Allmans were most of the 90s and the 2000s until they retired, they would do like these week or sometimes 2-week long stints at the Beacon Theater and just play like literally every night for like, a week or 2 or 3 or whatever it was. So this, I think, was the second to last time I got to see them, because when they neared the end, I think everybody knew they were nearing the end and you couldn't get a ticket to save your life. They sold out really quick. But man, magical as always. I mean, the Allman Brothers Band were just so good live, and I've seen them many, many times. That was great. Thin Lizzy at the Best Buy Theater in Times Square, New York City, March 25th, with Vivian Campbell on co-lead guitar.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I mean, was it really Thin Lizzy? I don't know, but they sounded great. And I remember Butch Jones and I were standing next to each other, and he was in his glory, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty damn cool. So that was pretty neat.
I saw a couple of versions of Thin Lizzy that really weren't Thin Lizzy, but they were great fun. So
I thought this was better than seeing him when John Sykes was leading the pack. Because for a number of years in the 90s, he was doing his version of Thin Lizzy with Scott Gorham and Brian Downey. And that was good too. But this I kind of liked a little more. I don't know why. There was something a little bit different that I think this, because Sykes was singing also. Here you had Ricky Warwick singing, and he's got that kind of like Phil Lynott thing going on. So that was pretty cool. The only time I've ever seen any iteration of the Grateful Dead was I saw the band Further. Saw them twice in the same year. I saw them July 16th at Bethel Woods outdoor show, and then I saw them later in the year at Madison Square Garden on November 10th. And that was an experience. I had never seen anything quite like that. And to just see people just, it's like whatever they play is good with us. We're just going to dance and do this whole thing. And they were good. They were really good. I recognized a lot of the material, which is pretty cool. They do a lot of weird, like jamming psychedelic things that kind of go on for a half hour at a time, and I'm kind of like, all right, I don't know what song this is anymore, but it's still kind of cool. So that was fun. It was just weird, being like a more of a hard rock guy amidst all these Deadheads, which was kind of strange, but I got into it. August 19th at Bethel Woods again, and this is the old Woodstock site, by the way. It's about an hour from my house. The only time I've ever seen Lynyrd Skynyrd upstage by an opener was when they played with the Doobie Brothers at this particular time. And Skynyrd were still really good, but this was the best I've ever seen the Doobie Brothers. I don't know what it was about that night. Maybe it had a lot to do with how much beer I drank beforehand. I don't know. But yeah, I know Simon's terrible, right? But they were great.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in you. It's terrible.
Awful, right? But no, the Doobie Brothers were great that night. They were rocking. They played everything you'd want to hear from them. It was really, really good. And last but not least, the first show I saw, because like Simon, in all these years, you can pretty much guarantee that I saw Dream Theater in these years. I saw Dream Theater October 11th at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in New Jersey. And this was the first show I got to see them after Mike Portnoy left and Mike Mangini is their new drummer. And that was quite good, because, that was a weird time, right? Because a lot of people were like, can they exist without Portnoy? And they proved that they could. And that was pretty notable. And notable also because I remember that night I was wearing a Whitesnake Love Hunter shirt. And I remember like a woman was there with her son, and she walked up to me and she goes, "That's a really interesting shirt you're wearing." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." This was after my wife was like, "Are you really going out to a show wearing that shirt?" I'm like, "Why not? It's a great album." Yeah, so it's got kind of a snake.
And your answer was, "Yes, Mum."
Yep. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. I don't have any bad ones from that year. Everything I saw, I didn't see a lot. That was most of what I saw that year, and nothing stunk. So pretty good. So there you have it, everybody. 2010, 2011. So of course, down in the comments below, please let us know what some of your highlight shows were from those 2 years, and maybe some stinkers you saw. So we got a fun show coming up for you next week, because we're going to go back to favorite and least favorite albums. And the band in question is none other than Deep Purple. So that's coming up next week. So stay tuned for that. Our favorites and least favorites on a wild card. You guys are well familiar with that format. So we're doing that quite once again. We got other ones coming up in the weeks ahead. So we have another theme show that we're going to be starting. This is thanks to some viewers who kind of asked us about this, and that'll be coming over the weeks ahead. And that basically is ranking the songs on classic albums. We've never done that here before on the channel. So we're going to each, whenever we do these type of episodes, we're going to pick a classic album, and where each one of us is going to kind of deconstruct the tracks and put them in the order of our preference. And so that'll be kind of fun, right? So that's coming up in the weeks ahead. So you got that to look forward to. So any last words, gentlemen, before we part, other than the fact that I am empty, and that's never a good thing, but.
Well, I suppose the only last words that I have is that to, break that pretense that this is Saturday evening, is that I would imagine that when I clap my hand there for the Singer of Crash Diet hitting the floor, my daughter's just through this wall and she's probably in bed, and I'd imagine that she's absolutely shot herself. That's my closing thoughts for the evening, everyone. Thanks for that. Cheers.
Simon?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, cool. There you go. All right. Till next time, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time, even though he's from Perth and he's from Lancashire and I am from the Hudson Valley. We'll see you next week on the UK Connection. For Simon Bray and Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. Stay tuned for album homework assignment coming up tomorrow morning. We've got Ken Golden and George LeMay going head to head. Till then, see you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.